this new generation. I can't wait. And then people.
I remember when we had that lull in Xbox 360 RPGs that included Last Remnant. What is that?
Infinite Undiscovered. Terrible game.
Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey.
Ugh,
yeah,
Lost Odyssey.
That's pretty gross.
Anyway.
I've heard some people like Lost Odyssey though.
I don't know. I'm very driven by characters, so they didn't appeal to me.
And then you had to read short stories on your TV, which is a great use of the medium. Yeah.
You know what? To go back to retro though, is I remember I had issues when I reviewed it for IGN for Hack. I did .hack GU.
Oh my goodness, so many.
And well, I did the GU 1, 2, and 3, and I'll say that if I went back and played it, I would probably like it more. But at the time, I never played a .hack game.
Yeah, I played all 4 of those, but I could talk about those in a minute. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that I didn't realize there'd be so much reading involved because you go offline and then you read everyone's emails and all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, when does this end? I just want to get to the next part. There was so much literature on my screen, and I was like, ugh.
I gotta say that they could never release a game like that again, like the originals. But I mean, I think I played those only for the sheer novelty of it.
It kind of emulated Phantasy Star.
A little bit, but it was all single player stuff.
Yeah,
I think you had AI partners. Yeah. Take our next call. Wait, I think. Oh, there we go. Hey, you're on Retronauts. Who are you and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's John from Long Island.
John from Long Island?
Yep.
Hello, John.
What's up?
Hey, we still talking about B-list RPGs?
Absolutely.
We certainly are.
Awesome. Has anyone talked about Breath of Fire yet?
No, we were waiting for you though.
Yeah, we were waiting.
Then yes, let me talk about Breath of Fire then.
You go nuts, sir.
I didn't really have the chance to own a lot of RPGs when I was growing up, but I did find myself renting a ton of them, and one of the ones I found myself playing a lot was Breath of Fire 2. It had some really great art design, large variety of characters, and some pretty cool stuff story-wise. But, it really holds up, and you have a lot of the stuff that you see in other, more mainstream RPGs showing up there, too, like... You had a couple of different means of transporting. Like at one time you ride around a whale, and another part of it you have this giant bird you get around in. You have these cool transformation sequences, and I think at one part of the game you can almost kill everyone.
Oh.
Okay. That sounds a heck of a lot more awesome than Breath of Fire 3.
Yes.
Is that the one you played?
Yes.
We could talk about that one. Oh, 1 second, John. I wanted to mention that we were just talking about the worst translated lines in RPGs, and I forgot that I don't want to crap all over the game that you like, but it has a really bad translation. Would you agree with me?
No, it definitely has its flaws. I mean, I ended up actually finally getting a copy of it when they did the Game Boy Advance ports.
Right, I did play through that version.
They did fix up some things, but there are some parts of it that are just a little weird.
Right, I did want to point out my favorite line from that game. It is an item description for one of the first items you get. It's called a rod. And it's a fishing rod. The description is be used for fishing. And I don't even know if they fixed that in the Game Boy Advance version. That was my favorite. Like even when I was 12, I was like, "Come on, you didn't notice that? What's happening?"
That's amazing.
I forgot that it also had a lot of these cool mini games too. Like you went fishing. There was actually a hunting sequence. One of the cool things that it did, which I don't know if too many other RPGs did, or at least I know they probably emulated later, but it had like this weird, cool Pokemon kind of thing, whereas at one point in the game you find like these witches, and you use them to fuse to your characters, and they actually can take on like a bunch of different forms and shapes, so...
That is, that's sort of a Breath of Fire staple where you have different forms.
Oh,
yeah, I remember that.
The 3 you collected crystals.
I played the original. The original was the guy had blue hair and was left-handed, right?
He always has blue hair.
Yeah, it's always the same guy.
Okay.
I think it's pretty much every JRPG ever you just described.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the guy in Breath of Fire is always named Ryu, and he always has blue hair.
Because Ryu
And
know what it means.
I didn't know that. Whoa! It's like I just opened a fortune cookie and looked at the back of the paper.
Exactly.
But except it's in Japanese.
Yeah, I remember playing the original one. Was it the original or second one? Whatever was on the Super NES.
They're 1 and 2.
And I think 3 was on the Super NES.
3 is PlayStation.
It was?
Yeah,
Yes, it might not look like it, but
Hey, it's not that bad. It holds up well.
okay. Whoa.
Breath of Fire 4, though, I don't know about that.
I'm sorry.
I said Breath of Fire 4. I'm not too sure about that. At one point, I wasn't sure if it was a Dragon Quarter, but at one point, like, the game just, like, it got a little bit too hardcore. Like, one of the later games, you have, like, this, one of the recurring things that you brought up is that a lot of the games have these things that carry over to each, next one. Like,
right.
The character's name is always Ryu, there's always, like, a character named Nina and all this stuff. A lot of the things is you have these dragon powers, and in one of the later ones, which was pretty much where I stopped playing, was I think it was Dragon Quarter, is that you have these powers, but just by using them, automatically starts a timer that once it runs out, you immediately lose the game.
That's true. You have something called the D meter in the game, and all of your actions reduce it in some way, and that includes your transformations and stuff like that. So you want to save those for like the big, terrible bosses, but. That game is actually sort of like you can directly trace Dead Rising to Breath of Fire, Dragon Quarter, because it's a lot of the same people and it's the same sort of system, although, believe it or not, it was made a little more friendly in Dead Rising, where the point of the game is to keep playing through it over and over and over again and building up your characters in the interim, and then like at some point you can go, okay, now I can finish the game. And that was their attempt to change up the formula, which I think really needed it. Breath of Fire was never like that iconic on its own, but
unfortunately, 5 killed it.
Yes.
Sorry,
go
it's
ahead.
been remade.
Oh,
What, it is?
huh?
Yeah, didn't you guys know that? It was announced at TGS that there is I believe it's coming for the 3DS, a new Breath of Fire game.
Oh, a brand new.
wow.
Okay.
I can't remember if it's a remake or a
Man.
new one, actually.
I don't know how to feel now. Sorry, go ahead, John. Did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, just one little side thing without throwing off too tangent, and only because I don't know if it would ever come up again. But can we throw some props to some really good B-list action RPGs?
Sure. Do you have any props you want to throw at us?
Just two. One, Wonder Boy and Monster World for the Sega Genesis was one of my favorite games growing up as a kid.
I can get on board with that.
This is before I even knew about the whole Adventure Island weird Wonder Boy shift at some point. Like
right.
At one point they kind of bisect and intersect at once. It's actually to tie it in too. It has some similarities with Super Adventure Island too, which was another action RPG, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's weird it went that direction, but I agree. Wonder Boy and Monster World, really good. I love all the Wonder Boy games.
The last thing to throw out, and it was only because I was trying to think, and I want to ask you guys, were there any JRPGs for the N64?
Oh, there was Ogre Battle Persons of Lordly Caliber for the... And, like, that might have been the only real Japanese RPG.
Yeah, it was...
And even then, it's more of like a strategy. Like, I know there's a lot of stuff planned. Like, there was plans for Earthbound, that fell through. There was plans for Final Fantasy, that fell through. I think a lot of it was really just kind of showed how the PlayStation at the time really kind of reigned over Nintendo, in that it kind of became the new platform for RPGs, JRPGs in general, but and Nintendo kind of up to at least until the GameCube really didn't have anything going for it.
Yeah, I can say that. God, Quest 64 is the other one, right? Quest 64. Yeah. That was at a time when Nintendo was being stubborn, and they still wanted people to pay out the wazoo for their cart reproduction prices, where you had to buy all the carts up front. Whatever didn't sell, you were responsible for. With the PlayStation, CDs obviously much cheaper to make than carts, because any Joe Schmo can make a CD, and also increased storage space and all that other good stuff. So that's why a lot of the RPG makers sort of fled for their lives from the SNES to the PlayStation 1.
I'm blanking. Right. Is Ogre Battle and Ogre Tactics the same?
And to kind of bring it all to a close is that one of my last favorite, at least, action RPGs that was on the N64, if you could call it that, was Hybrid Heaven.
Oh, I never played this. I've heard about it. Hybrid Heaven.
To describe it, it was like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe. Take everything that you wouldn't expect in an RPG and then put it in a blender with a story that didn't make any sense at all. So it's an action RPG where you basically wrestle aliens.
Okay, why not?
You start off as this guy who's supposed to assassinate the president, but then you get assassinated, but then you take over to somebody else, and then you find out you're the original guy, you've just been cloned, and it goes back and forth. The story really doesn't make any sense. But the cool thing about it is it was all centered around this unique fighting system that wasn't really more like like a fighter, but rather you would build up these moves, like you could focus on your punching, your kicking, your grappling and stuff, and you basically fought every single enemy in the game. Like, you would say, okay, like this person, this boss is very strong on defense, so I'm going to try to grapple him, or, you know, I'm going to work on my punches and then just try to plow through that. And it was really cool in that not too many action RPGs really did anything that focused more on just like a straight-up fighter.
That's
became
interesting.
More about just like, you know, action, but it's a neat little gem that I know doesn't really get too much word out there, and I think it was just because it was a little bit too weird. But
well, hey, thanks. I don't know if it's a recommendation, but you certainly made me aware of it. I've heard the name Hybrid Heaven, but I just never really was sure what it was, and I didn't own an N64 until it was too late, so I never really went back to investigate what the heck the Hybrid Heaven was.
Yeah, but no, you should definitely check it out. It was, I wouldn't call it one of the best, but I would say it's at least worth a good look.
Okay, awesome. Hey, thanks a lot for calling, John.
All right, no problem. Take care.
Yep, take it easy.
Bye.
Hybrid Heaven. We are shortly running out of time. We might take one more call if we get one.
Okay.
We're just staring at the light.
Yeah. You know, speaking of, we were
Summon
talking
the
about
calls.
Ogre Battle, and
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt the
Oh,
caller.
no, don't worry. It's like, it's hard to judge when they're going to talk.
Yeah, so, but Ogre Battle, is that just the same thing as Ogre Tactics? I can't remember.
It's in the
I think,
same family, but they're different games.
Because I actually, since we're on Retronauts, I was thinking, I just finished a few weeks ago Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together.
Okay,
and I never got to play it when it originally came out, and I actually really enjoyed it. I loved it a lot. So.
Yeah, you're talking about the PSP version.